Welcome. In this training video, we will discuss a process for creating online lectures. We will begin by discussing the basics of planning online lecture content, then move on to the mechanics of creating online resources, and finish with identifying resources and tips for producing online content with a common production tool called Camtasia. Before we start, it's important to note that this process can be used for a range of different online presentation styles. So whether you're wanting to add voice over a PowerPoint presentation, record yourself in a lecture theatre, or perhaps even create a virtual classroom just like this one, the process we're about to step through can be applied to practically any set of online lecture resources that you would like to create. As with any blended learning strategy, it is important to think about how you are working towards your planned learning outcomes. To value-add online content, it is important to identify and consolidate linkages between online content and learning activities undertaken in the classroom, as well as thinking about how these link to the assessment tasks set for the unit. We typically deliver assessment instructions and assessment-related activities, either online or in the classroom. But creating resources and activities that blend all three areas is more difficult and requires careful planning. But if you give planning some time and effort, the outcomes might just surprise you. So the task at hand is planning not only the takeaway messages you want to deliver to your students, but also carefully considering where you will deliver the takeaway messages and how these link and build on one another, from online to classroom and onto assessment, to create a structured program for blended learning. Once you have identified the content you would like to put online, you need to think about the density, or how complicated the online content you plan to deliver really is for your students. Discussing a complex model or theory might need to be broken down into smaller chunks of information. This helps to flag to students how parts of content fit together, helps students revise specific components of content, and also makes it easier and faster to revise content from one semester to the next. For example, if you wanted to update a specific component of content or include new information about a topic. Writing content for an online lecture is much the same as writing content for a live classroom lecture. The primary difference is the feedback from students is not simultaneous. So if you don't build in opportunities for students to provide you with feedback, then you may not realise if students understand the topics or concepts that you are discussing online. For example, prompting students to look over a short case, YouTube or TED clip provides an ideal opportunity to ask students to comment on what they thought was important from the example. Provide a space for feedback, and you can easily link this into classroom discussions to address weaknesses or consolidate on strengths in what was learned. Also, remember that online content might be played on mobile devices, so it's important to keep font large, using the slides only as an exclamation point to the vocal message that you are trying to communicate. Normally, I would recommend against scripting a lecture, or any presentation for that matter. But for online content, ums and ahs can be a real killer to retaining the attention of the viewers. I will be the first to admit that ums and ahs creep into my presentation from time to time. So to make sure that I don't spend too much time editing out ums and ahs from my recordings, I often use a script to reduce my editing time later. However, some of you will already have a flawless presentation technique, so this might not be something for you to worry about. When thinking about your online stage presence, you have to think about two things. First, at any given moment, do you want your audience to be looking at the slides or to listen to the words that you are saying, or perhaps pausing the video to think for a moment before moving on? You can use callouts, zooming, and panning to your advantage to prompt viewers to focus on different elements of your presentation. Second, your body language is an essential component in video content, as it helps to direct viewers to what is really important and to help you provide emphasis. Remember, English might be a second, even third language for some of your students, so non-verbal communication can still be a critical factor in having your meaning understood. You might also need to overemphasize your body movements to signpost content to your viewers. This might mean thinking a little like a weather presenter, which takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of getting used to. Examples such as YouTube or TED clips can also be linked in a fairly seamless fashion using the tools embedded in YouTube. This makes creating online lecture activities easy to create and easy for students to engage with. More details on YouTube are discussed a little later in this video. So by now, you should have a plan as to what you are going to talk about, what activities you might include, and which links or external resources you would like to build into your presentation. Now it's time to record your presentation. Now there is a wide range of options to choose from, and I suggest working with your strengths. So if you're a confident, face-to-face presenter, you might feel more comfortable videoing yourself in a classroom or even just sitting in your office, editing in any visuals like PowerPoint slides. You might have them to one side of you or perhaps over your shoulder. If you are less confident in front of a camera, you might prefer voice over PowerPoint, or for those of you who are a little bit more adventurous, try an avatar-based presentation just like this one. Every approach has different requirements with respect to hardware, resources, and also, depending on your skill set, support. Pick what works best for your situation. So this provides an easy to follow method for thinking about and creating an online lecture. Once you have recorded your content, it's time to edit and produce your online content. There are quite a few instructional videos on how to edit video content using Camtasia, which is a tool available to QUT business staff. Contact Frederick Ferry or IT support to have Camtasia added to your desktop. I have embedded a great How to Edit in Camtasia video to this Prezi. You can find the link to this Prezi for more details and viewing and perhaps exploring again through this presentation at the link that I've provided in the description bar just below this YouTube video. I have also provided some tips and settings that will help you to make sure your videos run smoothly and look great. Also, there is a step-by-step guide for producing and sharing your lecture videos ready for upload to YouTube or Blackboard. Important to note here is that we now have a QUT Business School YouTube channel created specifically to host your online lecture videos. You can contact our resident e-learning advisor, Gareth Simpson, to have your videos uploaded and linked into your unit's Blackboard site. Here are Gareth's contact details, but they are also located in the producing and sharing instructions on this section on the Prezi. Take a look through the tutorials and the instructions and get creating. That concludes the three-step process for creating online lectures, so try it out. Plan, create, and produce an online lecture and see how you go. For some inspiration, I've included a few examples of the different types of online lecture videos that have been created and used this semester. Gareth is readily available for some advice and support to help you create great online lectures. So, what do you have to lose? Give an online lecture a go. You might just surprise yourself. Please feel free to leave a comment about this video in the comments section below, and thank you very much for your time.